Hello there, it's Jan from JB Crafts. Thank you for joining me today. I'm back today with another little project for my Halloween series this year. And I've kept this one fairly simple. I do try to alternate between sort of maybe construction, 3D kind of work, and then more basic cards, because I know there's a whole range of crafters out there, and obviously try to appeal to all abilities. So this one's a nice one to make, a little bit of repetition with some of the design, and it's on a 7x5 card design. So this is what I came up with. Now, this is not my idea, actually. I was scrolling through Pinterest like we do the other day, and I saw something very similar to this on there, and I just loved the layout, the way that the card's been split horizontally, and then you've got these three elements, which could be absolutely anything. Again, it's a great sort of design sketch, for want of a better word, to translate. These could be Christmas images, they could be baby images, you could have a new home in the middle, lots and lots of different occasions that you could adopt this particular layout for. Kept the sentiment very minimal, it's stamped straight onto the background. Little bit of texture in here just to add a little bit of extra something, and then I've just added a bit of stamping inside with my sentiment here just to link it all together. With it being Halloween, I've made a black card today, and that's just been made from some of my black A4 cardstock, and I'll show you what I've cut that down to, and then just scored to make that top fold 7x5 inch design. So nice and straightforward, minimal supplies for this one, and I'll show you how we actually popped it together. So I'm going to start with some of the matting and layering. So like I said, I've had my piece of black cardstock. So this was cut from a piece of A4, and it just measures 10 inches by 5 inches, and I've scored it down the centre at the 5 there. Okay, sorry, 7 inches tall, and then the 5 is the width here. So we've got this, it can be a book fold. On this occasion, I'm going to do it as a top folding design. So I am just going to reinforce that fold line along the top, and we're going to leave that fold. We're going to create in landscape orientation. And then the next layer that I'm going to bring in is my coloured layer, and I chose the green as a complementary colour. Again, very typical Halloween colours, and this is a panel that measures 6 5/8 by 4 5/8. So I've left just over a 1/4 of an inch border so that we've got a nice chunk of that black showing there. And I've popped some tape on this. I'm just going to use this to lay this one flat. It is a piece of my Centura Pearl cardstock, but it could be any kind of card. It doesn't have to be the pearlescent. It was just the colour I was looking for more so than anything else. And all I'm going to do is pop this on here, and I've just taken one of the pieces of tape off for the time being until I've got it laid down in a position that I'm happy with. And then I'll run that top piece down, which is the backing that I removed, and then all I do is just pop underneath here and remove the rest of the liner from the tape, and then we know that that's going to be stuck in exactly the right place there. So just get that pop down, give it a nice good seal, and we've got our background layer on. So the next layer I want to bring in is just gone down 1/8 of an inch. I've got a very, very, very skinny green border. Okay, now yes, you could actually take out the centre of this if you want to be a bit more frugal with your cardstock, but I've just got 1/8 of an inch border all the way round, and this one's cut at 6 1/2 by 4 1/2. Now this is just a piece of my plain smooth white stamping card, and we're going to do a little bit of work on here before we attach it to the card base. So I'm going to put the card base to one side for a second, and we're going to do a little bit of work on this one. So I've already done a couple of bits to it. I have actually just measured up the edges here about 2 1/8 of an inch roughly, and I've just made a little pencil mark here, and that's where I'm actually going to make my ribbon. I'm going to set my ribbon across the center here, and I do have a piece of double-sided tape at the ready to receive that ribbon. But before we do that, I'm going to stick the embellishments on the bottom so that I can get everything nice and straight. I'm going to use my ruler to help me get this straight. And I've created some pieces to go across the bottom. So I've actually got 3 of them. And I've cut these. I went through my stash and I've got a very, very sort of tiny scalloped square die here, and these are from a really, really old set of patchwork dies that I have, but they just happen to be the right size, and I wanted that little tiny bit of edge. From edge to edge they measure about 2 3/4 inches, and I've cut this 3 times in the plain black cardstock. This is what was left over when I'd cut my card blank out. And then I've also cut some pattern paper. I've chose 3 different pattern papers, and I've just come down 1/8 of an inch. So these measure 2 5/8 of an inch square. And I've matted my paper onto some black card just to make it a bit more substantial. The paper was very thin. And then I've been round it with my distress ink again in the vintage photo with my applicator. A, to get rid of the white edge off the paper, and B, just to focus the eye in on those squares. So we've just got that nice sort of tinted edge there. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop those together, and that's going to become one of my little patchwork pieces here. So I'm just going to use the fine tip applicator here, apply some glue to that background, and then just centre that in the middle of that little scalloped square. And there's just a tiny black edge which will just be enough to lift it from the back of the card here. So the next thing that I want to do is find the centre of my card. I want to actually centre this, so we'll use the big ruler, seeing as I've got this out here. And this piece measures 6.5 inches. So the centre of this is going to be at 3.25 inches. Now my piece here measures 2 3/4. Okay, so what I want to do is come either side of this to get that 2 3/4, so that I know exactly where to centre this first one. So 2 3/4, a half of 2 is 1, and a half of the 3/4 is 3/8. Okay, so I want 1 3/8 at either side of that centre point. So I'm going to go 1 3/8. That's not right, Jan. What did I say? 2 3/4. Half of 2 is 1. Half of 3. Yeah, then we need to halve that. No, I've 1 3/4. Right. Ignore me. I'm on my wrong measurements there. This measures 1. Let me just sort that bit out. What have I done with my eraser? It's hiding from me. Right, let me get my head round that. I'd gone up too many inches. So it measures 1 3/4 in total. Okay, so half of 1 is a half, and a half of 3/4 is 3. So it's 7/8 of an inch. I need to go 7/8 of an inch at either side of that 1 inch. So 7/8, 7/8, and that's where my centre one will now sit. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, love this ruler because of the markings on it. So each one of these is 1/8 of an inch. So you've got a quarter, half, 3/4, 1 inch, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this up onto the 1/4 of the inch. Okay, that 1/4 of an inch mark, I need to just extend where I've put those lines so that I can see them. I'm going to mark that with the 1/4. So I've got my 1/4 of an inch line running parallel with the edge of the card there to the best of my ability. And then we're going to pop glue on the back of this one. And once you've got this one centered, you can actually get the rest of them in the position that you want. So this one's actually going to go, in fact, I'm just going to leave that one for a second because I want the orange one in the center. I've actually created 2 more of these exactly the same way, and I want the orange one in the center there. So these are just scraps of paper that I've had left over from other designs, and all I'm going to do is center that between the pencil marks, and I'm going to let it rest on the ruler. So I'm a 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom. Get that one in place. Then we can bring the one with the bats. I want this at the right hand side, and I'm going to leave a 1/4 of an inch in between them. Okay, just leave that straight on that bottom edge. and then pop this one on there. And then we're going to do the same at this side. Now I've got a slightly larger gap at the edge, but I'm okay with that as long as those gaps are relatively even at each side, which is where the measuring came in. We should be okay. So again, just making sure that's on that 1/4 inch mark so that these all sit nicely together. I'm going to come 1/4 inch this way again and get that one laid down there. So this gap is even and the outside edges are now even as well. And then when we've got those in play, I can get rid of those extra pencil lines that we used as a guide. Okay, so we've got those at the ready. And now I can actually pop my ribbon down. Just what I preferred to do this part first before I added the ribbon. Now I've got some really nice lime green ribbon here that we tend to associate with the Halloween time. Okay, so I've put a piece of double-sided adhesive on here, and where I'd marked those side pieces is going to be the bottom edge of my ribbon there. So I'm just going to cover up the pencil lines and adhere that ribbon to there. And then on the back I had added a couple of extra little pieces just to receive the fold in the ribbon, and we're just going to pop that over the back and stick it down on the reverse of the panel that we're working on. Okay, and then I wanted a little bit more texture in there, so I've taken some of my black and white twine and we're going to run a piece of that across the middle as well. And I'm going to cut a couple of bits of the double-sided tape just to anchor this on the back. So I've just cut a couple of pieces here, and what we're going to do is take this around the back, and I know where the centre part is because I've got those pieces on the back here. So I want to bring this round the middle of the green and then just anchor this on the back, making sure that that's nice and secure. And then I'm going to do the same at this side, and if I bring it through the centre of that piece of ribbon, I know that that side's going to be where I want it to sit as well. So those are anchored on the back. We can snip off, if you've got a massive excess, we can just take that off the back. And then we've got our piece here good to go. So before I adhere this to the card, I want to do my sentiment. So I've just got a simple Happy Halloween sentiment, and I've left that in my mist because I lined all this up when I was doing the sample. And all I did was pop this into the corner here. Got my magnet in place just to hold it all into place. And then this one should, yeah, just work nicely on there. So I'm just going to use some of my real nice black VersaFine Clair ink. I'm going to ink up my sentiment and then just pop that down into that top portion that's we've left with the white cardstock. You can see that there. You can give it a second coating if you wish. That's the beauty of using your stamp positioner. And we're good to go. So I will just clean where I've caught that on the back there. The stamp gets a little wipe, and I'll pop that away in a second. And that's the only stamping that I'm going to do today. I did say that this was a slightly quicker one. And then you've got choices. You can either attach this to the card or you can do the embellishments. I'm actually going to pop this onto the card now. All right, so we'll bring our card blank back in. Make sure it's opening up the right way. And I am going to use my quick dry glue again, just because I'm going on to more of a shiny surface. I normally use my all-purpose glue, but it doesn't play as nicely with the shiny surfaces. And there is a risk of damaging it if it's a coated card. Okay, so we're just going to pop this one over the top, and as I say, we've got that small border all the way around the green there. Get that one pressed in place. Let that glue grab. It does grab quite quickly, the acrylic glue. and then we're ready for our embellishments. So again, whatever you've got in your stash, whether you're going with a Halloween theme or whether you want to go Christmassy or birthday, or say like a baby one, I'm just going to grab that little bit of glue off there, and that one's good to go. Okay, so I actually use some of my supplies again. So this is that All Hallows Eve collection that you've seen me use throughout some of the videos. I have got some other products that I'm going to bring in as well on different tutorials, but this one's the Spooktacular. It's got the ghosty and the pumpkins. Now these are not true to size, they are smaller than this. If I pull this one out, you can see here. So I've cut my little ghost, and I've got him, and I've just inked around the edge so that it's not pure white, and popped some scraps of black on the back to create his face. And then I've cut the pumpkins in some orange cardstock, and again I've put the black scraps on the back just to create those jack-o'-lantern faces, and I cut both sizes of those. Okay, so they're going to be part of my embellishments. And then the little bat, I'm not sure which one that's from, but I do have a bat in my stash as well. I've used this one before, and I've cut that a couple of times out of some black. It is actually black glitter card, this, but it's very, very subtle. It just adds that little bit of extra texture. So we've cut him a couple of times. We're going to use that one. And then rather than trying to tie the bow round here, I've got a separate bow today that we're just going to pop on here with a little glue dot. Okay, so I'll leave that one while last. I'm going to use that fine tip applicator again. We'll go with Ghosty in the middle first. And again, I'm just using that acrylic glue. If you want to add some dimension at this point, you could use your foam adhesive on here. But I just wanted to keep this one reasonably flat so that if you are popping things in the post, you've not got too much dimension. So he's going to go in the centre one. We're going to do the little bats. I did originally try the bats on this one, but there was too much interference because the bats were on the background piece. Didn't feel that they showed up as well as they did on the plain one. So we've done a little bit of swapping out, and again just popping. Oh, the sun's just gone in then. It's the drastic change in light. I apologise if that's shown up on your viewing. It was very bright a minute ago. It's obviously gone behind a cloud, and it literally just came right over the top then. It's as if someone had turned the lights out. So again, a little bit of acrylic glue on there. That fine tip applicator really comes in handy. And then I'm going to pop this one at an angle on here. And I've gone with the one embellishment in the middle, two on this side, and then we're going to do the two pumpkins at this side as well. So the background, the largest one in the background, and then the smaller one to go with it. And again, you know, I've kept everything flat here. Like I said, if you want to add your embellishments, you know, if you're hand gifting these, if they're for maybe a family event, then you could actually pop some foam tape behind these and raise them up a little bit. This one's just going to sit with it so that we've got that two on this side, two on this side, and then the ghosty centered in the middle. Okay, and then we're just about there. Pop the lid on that one. And then I've got some glue dots just to add my bow. So I'm just going to take one of the glue dots with my craft pick there, roll it up into a little tiny blob of glue, pop it on the back of my bow there, and they're very, very sticky. And I'm just going to pop that one about. Because we've got this at this side, I'm just going to balance it off with the glue dot on that side, and that will just stick to that twine that's already there. Okay, so we're just about sorted there. You can see, like I said, nice simple one today. Really easy to create. You know, if you don't have the scallop dies, you could just put another square and just map them behind it. You could cut those with your trimmer or your guillotine. I cut the plain square, the pattern paper, these plain edges with my guillotine. I just measured it in slightly and made them to fit on top of that scalloped edge. So the only difference on the main one again is just a few little of the embellishments, just to drag the, you know, the eye through that sentiment there. And then, like I said, I've added a stamped piece inside for my greeting where I can write a message inside there. So just a little bit of fun stamping, and that's my card design for today. So pop that one to one side. You can see that there, like I said, 7 by 5 in height with that top fold on, and I just think it's a bit of fun. As I say, it caught my eye on Pinterest, and I thought, yeah, just a little bit of fun, and another one that you can have in your kind of card making arsenal, like I said, that you can transfer to any particular occasion. I think there are lots of different ways you could do this, lots of occasions. I did consider putting the numbers on one of them. I was going to put the 31, but I've got plans for that on another project, so I didn't want to sort of duplicate it. Did go in on this one with my white gel pen and just add a couple of little tiny eyes on the bats there, very, very small, just to make it look as if they were peeking out in the dark there. But yeah, that's my card project for today. I hope you've enjoyed that. As I say, nice and quick and simple today, not too much. Little bit of preparation with the embellishments, but not too much going on there at all. So if you did enjoy it, consider giving it a thumbs up for me, and I will see you back here very, very soon with another tutorial. So enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye now.